what's the difference between finding a coach versus a mentor versus a friend that can give you some advice? Like what's the difference in
Yeah,
coach?
yeah, that's a really good question. So I believe in mentorship, and I believe that everyone should have multiple mentors. So I don't think that you should just have one mentor. And mentors are are usually not professionals. So an executive coach is a professional mentor, and we have a discipline, and we understand how to go through a certain methodology to bring out the best in you. Now, mentors that are not professional mentors, well, they haven't gone to school and they haven't studied it, and so they'll do the very best that they can in helping you. But really, it is up to the mentee to do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a joke, I say this: there's three rules in coaching. The
Uh-huh.
client does all the work. Rule number two, all the work is done by the client. And rule number three, if confused, see rule one and two. And that must be the same three rules for mentorship.
Yeah.
The mentee does all the work. So you have to work really hard at being a good mentee, because most mentors are not good mentors because they haven't studied it. This is not what they do. They're willing to speak into your life, they're willing to help you, but they don't really know exactly how to do that thing called grow you to the next level, where whatever. So there's several types of mentors. Number one, there's the intentional mentor. That means I go to you and I say, I've got a gap sales, and you have been a CRO times five, and you're in my space, you understand my industry, you understand the whole sales cycle. I need you to help me grow in this area. Great. So that's intentional mentorship. And one mentor is not the panacea for what you need, because you have the mentor in sales, but you may need the mentor in finance. So you need a CFO that's been there, done it, got the T-shirt. You can't afford a full-time CFO. You can't even afford 1 day a week CFO, but you can afford to befriend a CFO type that can give you advice from time to time on the CFO function, right? And
Yeah.
so you should have multiple mentors. Now, I think of the principle of threes a lot. So I think you should have one internal mentor. For example, a member of your board, maybe you're in the seed stage, so it's friends and family. And by the way, most of my work is in high tech execs and a
Yeah.
lot of founders, a lot of seed stage. So I understand your space enough to be dangerous. And so maybe it's one of your angel investors. Maybe it's a family friend that has gotten the T-shirt, but then also somebody outside your ecosystem that is related and can look in and right. So multiple mentors, somebody internal to your core business, somebody external, and then someone that is a subject matter expert. Maybe it's an industry mentor, right? If you're or a go to market mentor or product market fit mentor, etc. So multiple mentors. Now, usually mentors are not paid. So what is Binoy? Binoy for you would be a paid mentor, and he's going to give you exactly what you need. But you're going to get more than that, because not only do you get mentorship from Binoy, but you also get coaching. And the difference between mentorship and coaching, where mentorship is usually subject matter focused, help me with fundraising, and you have a fundraising mentor. Whereas Binoy is going to help you holistically in mentorship, but also in leadership development. How can I be a better leader? How can I better delegate to my team of engineers that are at the breaking point already and they can't handle anything more? But I've got to give it more because I've got to get out and raise money, and I can't be managing my engineering team, my development team, and raising money at the same time. So I've got to let go, but I don't want to let go, and da 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 da. And so working through that issue is where you're going to have the executive coach.
I couldn't agree more. And I want to make a small distinction that I've learned now as I have hit this ripe old new decade. And that is the older I get, the more I realize when I was younger, I would fold my arms and I have to do it by myself. And I've learned that age actually helps me be smarter because now I ask for help. And if I had asked for help so much earlier in my life,
Sure.
as many of my uh, past coachees have done, I am in awe because they are able to accelerate and grow so much earlier. But most people still, I believe, Ike, you tell me this. The young ones think, oh, I've got to do it by myself. I've got to suck it up. I've got to figure this out. When in fact, the smart ones go, I'm going to go get the mentors, like Daniel's talking about, a coach, whatever. That is a mindset I believe if we could just change from day one, they would explode in their performance
Yeah,
and their
I would totally
happiness.
agree. Yeah, I would totally agree, but I've got a lot to say about this. And so, number one, I don't think it's a function of age. Number two, I don't think it's a function of intelligence.
No, that's true.
I think the function is coachability. So, a couple of data points. Number one, I've been coaching since 1987. In 1987, where coaching came from was the 70s and industrial psychologists fixing problem children in the Fortune 500. So you have a dysfunctional executive, you call this industrial psychologist, that now they're calling themselves a coach, and they're doing psychotherapy in the workplace. Okay. So coaching had a really bad rap. No one back in the 80s and early
Right.
90s wanted to have a coach. Why? It was the kiss of death. If you had an executive coach, there was something wrong with you and they were trying to fix you. And oftentimes it was last chance coaching. Okay, fast forward. Today, we know that executive coaching works best for the high potentials, the best of the best. So if you throw this match on a vat of gasoline, boom, you have an explosion. This guy, gal, goes to the next level. If it's a vat of water, fizzle. Okay, so what is the factor? What is that special something? It's coachability. And what is coachability? Coachability is the willingness to have somebody speak into your life. It's the openness to change. It's the willingness to try new things. So that whole mindset, that coachability mindset, I see in 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and then I also see uncoachability in all those age groups as well. So it's, are you coachable? And so I have a little assessment I actually give to my clients for coachability. And are you willing to change? If you're not willing to change, you're wasting your time, because coaching, mentorship is about change. It's about you growing to the next level.
Mhm.
And many people are just thinking they know it all. And that's so dangerous because, you know, it's impossible to know it all.
Yeah, is it Daniel? Is it also a little bit of like self awareness? Because I remember, when when Bino became my coach, that was like we don't have to get into the years, long time ago. Um, um, like he would help me with like everything under the sun. Like I would like call him, Bino, I need to hire a CFO. I've never hired a CFO before. What do I even ask? Like he would just like, here's the sheet I use, these are the questions I use. But besides that, I was running so hot. I never sat down and put together goals. Um like what's my core values? Like, what am I trying to do on this earth? Like and what's my goal? Like, okay, I want to get to $100 million. What are the qualities of that CEO that I need to be, so that to get there, and like I need to self-assess, and then these are the things I know best, these are things I don't know anything about, and like just like self-awareness guided me a little bit, like what I know, my
Sure.
weaknesses and strengths, so that and then I can just like bring the help needed. So how much of this coachability about self-awareness versus like being like learner or just
Yeah,
receiving?
I think it's a lot, and what you did is you just employed the ask principle, ask.
Okay.
So you just asked some very profound questions. Why am I here? You also asked yourself, well, what do I need to learn? You asked, how do I hire X because I've never done that before? So it's the asking. It's the same thing with mentorship. You got to ask for the mentor. You got to ask for the mentor to mentor you. You got to ask for help. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't ask enough. They
That's right.
think they have to pull themselves up on their bootstraps. They think they're in this alone. They think that people are not going to answer their questions. People are too busy. They're not important enough. Whatever the psychobabble is behind there. And you just got to ask. You got to ask for help. And you got to ask 360 degrees.
Yeah.
You ask your board, you ask your investors, you ask your colleagues, your peers, you ask your direct reports, you ask your engineers, hey, what do you guys think? But those that don't ask don't receive.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm gonna support that with this story. And by the way, Daniel, I've always said I cannot push string. I'm not gonna help you if you're not gonna pull on the other side. It's just not gonna work. So
That's
that's
right.
the first qualifier. It's a shame that of all of those business builders who are so passionate and have all that energy, how much of it could be much more effective if they just got a little bit more help in certain areas if they
Well, a
just
lot
open
more
up.
help.
So
Yeah.
so listen to this. This one guy um, was fabulous, doing really well. I really liked his personality. I knew there would be a match. We met 3 times in the courtship of deciding whether or not he would hire me. He wanted to, but he didn't. A couple of years later, he sold the business, VC funded, and in fact, the VC who the main lead had introduced me to help this particular CEO. The CEO, in the end, after the 3 meetings, decided not to engage my services. After he sold his business, we had a lunch. This lunch meeting, I said, "Hey, congratulations, well done, and whatever." And then, to my uh, to my level of respect and more, he openly and candidly said, "Remember when we were talking about having you help me? I really wanted you. I really needed you." And then he said these words. He said, "But I was more scared that I would be viewed as weak and needing your help, even though I wanted it, needed it. I know that the multiple that I got from my exit was not where it could have been, and I sincerely regret it." And then he said this, "But I also was so worried about my image that I thought you might be the spy that the VC, our investor, sent to spy on my performance."
Yeah.
And he said, "I am regretting the decision not to have had your help. Yes, we sold, but it was nowhere near the value that we could have got." What a what a stark lesson. What a humble man to attest to that, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's not just because of the exit. The entire journey is so much smoother when you know you have a safe companion on the journey to move along. I wouldn't you say that,
Again,
right?
it's it's so sad and goosebump at the same time because I relate to that person. But the reason we named this podcast "Fearless Founders" because most founders act from the fear. This is exactly what happened. Like he didn't want to be perceived weak to his peers or his employees, his VC, like everywhere, right? So if we can help our audience not to act out of fear, but just overcome that, I think that would be the best way. Daniel, maybe you have a few tips.
Well, I would say this that fear puts us in survival mode.
Yeah.
And when you're in survival mode, what happens is you're scrambling. You're scrambling to survive. and you're moving so fast, you don't take time to slow down and think. And that think time is so critical because you could get down a road very, very fast and then turn around and look and say, "Oop, I got down the wrong road." So it's not only speed of execution, but it's the quality of the execution. Where are you going? And having that ability to think strategically. And when you're in fear, you're just go, 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 move, move, move. And it just brings out the worst in you and really causes a lot of damage. So I would say the tips is you have to stay out of fear. How do you stay out of fear? Well, you have to trust. What do you trust in? If you're trusting in yourself, that's a problem
Yeah,
because
that's interesting. Yeah.
you just don't know everything. So if you're putting all your trust in you and your core ability to just muscle through, you're making a huge mistake. And even if you're successful, to Benoit's point, you're limited in your success in
Yeah.
many different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What?
so I think it's really important not to trust in yourself.
Bina, let me just drop something here. One of the things that I learned from your coachee, Daniel, um, was the difference between reacting and responding to something.
Mm,
So I actually recently helped a friend. He was so proud of himself that he would come up with a solution to a problem, and when an employee answers the question, the speed of the answer was so making him feel so good. I told him that's not the right way to measure your success.
right,
Like, you need to think and just take a deep breath and think and then respond, so that your mind has a chance to contextualize all the components that might be affected by it.
right,
So I made him count the number of reactions and responses that he was doing every day. So, like, at the end of the day, he realized the number of reactions were a lot higher than responses, so that he can regulate himself. So that's one of the things that I learned from Bino and then pass it along.
yeah. And I would go one step further.
Huh.
I would say this: it's not only responding. How much more powerful would it be if he asked a question of his
Uh-huh.
team and drew out their brilliance instead of him being brilliant and pontificating, right?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Because that's it's an endorphin release, though. In other words, if I'm the brightest guy in the room and I've got answer after answer, it feels great.
Yeah. But
But what it's
yeah,
producing is a dependency upon you, and you always have to be the most brilliant guy in the room, and that's a problem.
yeah, but and asking also creates, and there's another beauty in that. When you ask, you validate your perception. Like, maybe they're asking something. Say, why are you asking that question to me? What prompted you that question? So that, like, you can go deeper in the question, find out why this is coming. Because sometimes the questions is not the real problem. But also you double check your own perception of the question before you get to the bottom of it. So yeah, it's
Right.
beautiful.
And I would say this that executive coaches, what we're best at is asking very insightful, provocative questions that'll cause you, the client, to think. Like, are you sure that's the right road to take? And oftentimes, entrepreneurs, what they do is they have false choice. So they say, well, I could do this or I could do this. Which one should I do?
Uh-huh.
Well, you're telling me it's either one or the other. What about this option C, option D, option E? And oftentimes it's option D or E that's the better choice. So we have to be careful not to give ourselves false choices.
Gotcha.
And a coach can, like Benoit, is really expert at asking questions and drawing out your brilliance.
And that's an important statement. And Daniel, I'm going to ask you, I know the answer. Why questions? Why questions for the team, for the subordinate? Because you said it
Well, I
draws
would
out.
I would say there's a number of reasons. I can just tick them off. Number one, it enables you to see how your team is thinking, how somebody or some group is thinking. So instead of you just here, I've got the answer. Even if you do, let's assume that you got the perfect answer. But if you threw that out there, it enables you to see your team work through a problem, and you can help them to be better problem solvers, for example. Number two, um, you may not have the answer. You may think you have the right answer, but actually you don't. Number three, you can get greater buy-in this way. So you may
Yes.
have the right answer, but if you ask questions and you kind of have a discussion around this, you can gain buy-in from your team to go in a direction instead of we are doing this. It's we're doing this together, and then you have the full alignment and support of the team. So there's three, and I could tick off a bunch more.
Fantastic. One of the things I have always espoused to any of my clients is please consider yourselves in the enlightened stage of leadership to be a coach. The best role that you can be in order to scale your business is to be a coach, because then you're not the know-it-all, you're not the limiter in the organization, and you're helping everyone with working with you to grow their own spine of confidence as
That's
you
it.
ask for their input, for their ideas, as you create an environment of trust, and it's
Yeah.
safe to experiment and try. Otherwise the business never evolves, and you never get to the highest level of innovation, because then everyone feels good and trusted and supported, and emotionally they're not being pigeonholed into that's just your role, that's all you do. But by asking these questions, people are enabled, supported, and they become more creative. Oh, it's okay to come up with ideas. I thought I had to go to the boss to get all the ideas and all the answers, and
Right.
that's a terrible way to lead. You turn
Agree.
into a coach, and you'll become a better leader by influencing them to kind of innovate from themselves, for themselves, and the confidence grows in that team. That's why I've always espoused that.
Yeah.
And
Strongly agree.
I've got to ask you, then there are those mentees, coaches who don't do very well. They don't, they're not coachable even after they're paid for the services and such, right? So,
Oh
so
yeah.
they say, hey, Daniel, be my coach. When is a coachee not a good coachee?
Well, I would say that usually, if somebody is hiring us as their coach, they are coachable. Where I find it breaks down is when I'm brought in by the CEO of a company and he or she says, I want you to coach me and my whole team. And so I'll be introduced to the whole team, and of that whole team, let's say there's 8 people on the team, it's going to be a continuum. So there's going to be the most coachable guy and the least coachable guy. Guy meaning guys and gals, right? And it's interesting because I would almost always predict the most coachable is the highest performer on the team.
Yes.
So your A players, the best of the best, are hungry for development. So you should go to school on that. If you're an entrepreneur and you've got a team of a couple of guys that are working with you, where you're going to spend your most time, generally speaking, is with the lowest performer. And your highest performer, you're going to say, oh, they've got this. But they're the one that's the hungriest for development, and they're not getting it from you. And they are a, um, um, a target for recruiters and target for being taken away from you to another company where somebody is going to say, hey, come over here. I'm going to develop you. I'm going to mentor you. I'm going to grow you. And they say, yes, because I'm not getting fed where I'm at, because my boss is spending all his time with the B's and the C's. And the A performers know they're A performers.
Yeah.
And the A performers see you spending your time with C performers, pulling your hair out instead of just firing them and trying to get more B's and A performers.